as I've said elsewhere, I am continually amazed and fascinated by the diversity of the earth. I love people and cultures and differences. I believe that it is those differences that make the world beautiful and wonderful and interesting. It would be really boring if we were all the same, right? So last week I shared my love for the Apostle Peter in the Bible. As a Christian, I am definitely more familiar with the Bible than I am with other religious texts and traditions, although I am always eager to learn, and I hope that some of you will share with me your insights, scriptures, and beliefs with me, especially if they're different than mine, because I really love this opportunity that we have to learn from one another. Anyway, today I want to wander back to ancient China and explore the wisdom found in Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. It is something that has fascinated me since I was a child. I took saxophone lessons when I was a kid, private lessons, and my instructor there, here's the thing, I'll be honest with you. I was never really good at practicing. I would go in there and we would chat for part of the lesson, because if I could keep him talking, then maybe both he and my grandmother, who were paying for the lessons, wouldn't notice how little I'd actually progressed in my learning. But anyway, in one of those sessions, he told me about the Tao Te Ching and encouraged me to read it. And so I read it a lot when I was younger. A lot of the lessons in there have stuck with me, and I absolutely love them. So if you're not familiar with it, it was written over 2 millennia ago, and it has just a lot of profound insights about the nature and existence and how to live a harmonious life. Central to its teachings are something called Wu Wei, which is like effortless action. And it suggests aligning ourselves with the flow of life instead of forcing our way into it or resisting it, which is something that really fascinates me because I've spent most of my life forcing things. I have found in my own faith practice that the more I focus on my spirituality, the more effortless and easy things tend to become, and I feel a greater connection to heaven. I feel more inspired, and I often see better results from my work. So I love this idea of getting into that flow and not resisting or forcing things. So one translation of the Tao Te Ching's chapter 48 reads like this: "In the pursuit of knowledge, every day something is added. In the practice of the Tao, every day something is dropped. Less and less do you need to force things until you finally arrive at non-action. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone." One of the things I love about this book is that it makes you really think about each of the passages. There's a lot of meaning there, and as you start to unravel it, you find a lot of layers and insight. But to get a better perspective on this, let's look at another translation. I found this one on the MIT website. In this version, the same chapter reads this way: "He who devotes himself to learning seeks from day to increase his knowledge. He who devotes himself to the Tao seeks from day to diminish his doing. He diminishes it and again diminishes it till he arrives at doing nothing on purpose. Having arrived at this point of non-action, there is nothing which he does not do. He who gets as his own all under heaven does so by giving himself no trouble with that end. If one take trouble with that end, he is not equal to getting as his own all under heaven." Now, I don't know about you, but I am really good at giving myself trouble. I can invent a lot of trouble where none exists. In fact, one of my best friends always tells me, "Don't borrow trouble." Still haven't learned how not to do that. But I've spent a lot of my life wrapped up in anxiety and frantically overworking and overthinking. That's a subject for another day. That way of doing things doesn't really work very well. It's exhausting, it's overwhelming, and it's soul-crushing, and I am so burned out. It leads to burnout, depression, and lots of bad things, and I know firsthand. So having been down that road far more times than I care to admit, I am really fascinated by this concept of intentionally not forcing things, of letting our actions flow naturally as we pursue heaven. And I feel like that's something that's reflected really well in my own faith as well, because you can find many similar concepts in Christianity too. The Bible speaks of surrender, as seen in passages like Matthew 11:28-30, where Jesus invites the weary to find rest in him. Both of these teachings point toward a harmonious way of living. They do approach it a little differently. Taoism through harmony with nature's flow, Christianity through surrender to a personal God. But I find it really interesting that the end goal is the same, that surrender and unity with the divine that helps you have a more effortless and seamless life. In my experience, there's a great deal of truth to this. As a YouTuber, I have found that the videos that flow naturally to me often perform way better than the ones that I force myself to make when I'm having a rough week and nothing seems to be coming easily to me. Those videos just don't perform as well. It's harder for me, quality is lower, audience just doesn't enjoy it. But if I take the time to meditate or pray or try to bring myself into alignment where I'm more at peace and more open to what I consider divine inspiration, then I'm able to get much better results with much less work and much less headache. Anyway, I just wanted to share this with you today because I know we're all struggling with hard things, right? We all have different hard things in our life. I have hard things, and I know that you have hard things too. The world itself is really difficult right now, and a lot of things are overwhelming, and sometimes it's just hard to see a path forward. So if the solution to your problem isn't flowing naturally to you, maybe try taking a break. Take a deep breath, do a little meditation, say a prayer if that's something that helps you. Get yourself centered, step out of it before you tackle it again, and hopefully, if you bring yourself into that alignment, things will flow much better for you.